Hi, my name's Claire and I am here to help you get better at ballet. And I'm sharing all my tips and all my tricks and everything that I share in classes with you here on YouTube in the hope that I can help you improve your dancing. And this works for any kind of dancing really, because ballet is the foundation for so many different types of dancing. Once you have the core and the placement that you need for ballet, you can then adapt that to all different types of dancing really easily. So today, in fact all this week, I've been working on elevation and soft landing, so getting up in the air, but actually really importantly is landing softly and in a controlled way. So we've talked about elevation before, getting up in the air, how you can make your jumps look higher simply by looking up and breathing in and using the music, so really dancing with the music and maybe using a little bit of rubato to add a little bit of extra time up in the air as opposed to taking more time on the preparation. But that's another video. Today we are going to be talking about the landings, because you don't want to land with a thud. If you're doing a huge jump, you will hear the landing for sure. You cannot jump a massive grangete 100% silently. However, there are ways to use your natural shock absorbers. Number one, to prevent injury. Actually, that's the important thing. That's why we want to land softly, so we're not smashing our joints and creating a high impact injury or an ongoing injury over time. If you keep doing that, if you keep landing in a certain way, every time you do a jump, you're going to find that over time your joints will take a bit of a battering. You don't want that, okay? So the way we use our natural shock absorbers is that you land toe, then the ball of the foot, then the heel. Actually, I'm going to stand up and show you this because you can see it better. So you land tip of the toe, ball of the foot, heel, and as soon as that heel touches, your knee bends. And it's really important that the knee does bend, because that is what gives you the softness of your landing. That's what protects your joints, but it also prepares you for the next jump, so you can rebound and do another fabulous jump straight away without any indication of getting tired. There's an amazing, absolutely phenomenal sequence. It's phenomenal. She literally bounces and bounces and bounces and bounces and seems to get higher and higher almost. And if you see Natalia Osipova doing that, phenomenal. Anyway, I digress. So it's the landing we're talking about today. So you really want to be using those natural shock absorbers. You really want to hold your core, yeah, because you don't want to land a collapse over your legs. So if you're holding your core and keeping your posture nice and held, you will land vertically as opposed to collapsing forward. And also, if you're landing in an arabesque, for example, with a leg lifted, say you've done a grangete or a big leap, you don't want to land collapsing on the floor with the back leg down. You want to land with the back leg lifted, then you're controlled to go into another step. So it looks fabulous. And you get that moment of like, yes, I've landed with perfect control as well, because that's what takes people's breath away, seeing people do the apparently impossible things beautifully. So how can we do that? How can we help ourselves work on this? And we literally take yourself all the way. Don't worry about the jumps today. Take yourself back to the bar. The whole bar is designed to prepare you for what you're going to do in the center. So for examples, pliés, bending your knees. You cannot walk. You could do a very strange walk, but you struggle to walk without bending your knees. So pliés are preparing ourselves for doing movements that require us to bend our knees. Sautés, little jumps in fifth, yeah? So things like that. Think about all the exercises that you do at the bar. Each exercise, a lot of them are to prepare you for jumps. The ones I'm thinking of specifically are pliés, tendus, glissés, fondus, grand battements. Those are the ones that I can think of immediately that prepare us for jumping. Even where the way you're using your arm sometimes at the bar, you might go down, up into first, which is like how you'd use your arm if you were doing a lovely jump sometimes, okay? So think about the way you're using your arms at the bar as well. But specifically, it's obviously about making sure that those pliés are absolutely vertical. The minute you start pitching forward when you're bending your knees, it gives you a feeling that you're going deeper, but it's not actually letting you go deeper. You're just bending forward, so it appears that you're going deeper. But actually what you're doing is you're putting the muscle memory in to bend forward as you plie, which you don't want. You want to have an absolutely vertical plie so you can go up and down like a rocket. Okay, also with pliés, pliés are one of the first things we learn and one of the last things we master. You want to really work on the resistance of those legs, both on the way down and on the way up. You're using both muscle groups. Obviously, I'm demonstrating with my arms here, but it's your legs that will actually be doing the pliés. You're using both muscle groups to really get that movement going. So as you're pliéing, you're using the opposing muscle group to resist and create that resistance. So you use every beat of the music going down and then every beat of the music going up. You also want a tiny bit of dynamism in that plie. You don't want to go down and up. Yes, you want it to go down, down, whoop. Yeah, not quite as dramatic as that, but there's a slight tiny rebound, especially when you're doing a grand plie. That's the kind of movement. If you're getting your heels back on the floor, it can give you a rebound to get up to full standing. Be careful when you're doing a grand plie. Don't go down and straighten the legs. Heels down, stretch legs. Yeah, heels down, then slowly stretch the legs. Can you see that kind of accordion style squeeziness you're getting with your knees when you think like that, and you have that kind of imagery as you're doing your pliés? A good way to practice this or to get this sensation is by wrapping a TheraBand around your knees, tying a knot, and then doing the plie, making sure you don't ping the TheraBand at any time. It really gives you that lovely squeeze and stretch and really gives you that sense of it, which is quite good. That's obviously preparing you to bend your knees to push off the floor and to control your landings. The other exercise that will help you with controlling your landings is your battement tendus. Yes, every time you stretch your foot, you're going ankle, then the toes. You're working all the muscles of the sole of your foot, your plantar muscles, yes, or some people call them the intrinsics. Okay, so you'll work all these tiny, tiny little muscles in the sole of your foot every time you do a tendu and go into that pointed foot, really stretching that foot. Also, the coordination of stretching your leg and foot or keeping that leg stretched, again, is the stretch of your legs as you jump into the air. Glissés are taking that tendu a little bit further. Yes, imagine doing a jeté ordinaire where you brush the foot and land on one leg. That's what the glissé prepares you. And again, the pressure into the floor gives you that push off the floor and that beautiful stretch leg and foot as it pings just off the floor. The other exercise at the bar that really helps with your jumps is your fondus, your battement fondus. So fondus is usually done on one leg and then both legs extend. So you bend and then you stretch both legs. And what this does is it gets you used to landing on one leg, because pliés are great for practicing sautés, but they're not practicing that whole concept of leaping and landing on one leg, which actually requires quite a lot of strength. It's not until you teach either older people or younger people or someone who's recently had an injury that you realize just how much we take for granted the strength we have to land on one leg. It's quite phenomenal. Yeah, it's your whole body weight, but it's not just your body weight, it's your body weight plus the impetus of the leap. Yeah, so it's quite a full-on force that that leg has to take. And again, it has to go toe, ball, heel, plie to land with that leg staying up in the air. Yes, you definitely don't want that to be collapsing down. And that actually helps give you the strength to hold that plie. So with the fondus, again, feel that resistance, feel that turnout being held in your hip sockets, yeah, using these muscles, your adductors, and your adductors kind of pull the inside of your leg forward, but also your piriformis at the back will help rotate those legs out, so holding that turnout, which gives you the stability as you land. Okay, so you don't let your knees collapse forwards and potentially injure yourself. And finally, I'd say that I'm sure there'll be other exercises. The exercises, the petit battement and frappés, prepare you for the beats, but we're talking about landing specifically. Grand battement. Okay, you might think it's just preparing you for the swish of the grand jeté. However, with grand battement, you've got to think of fly up like a rocket, float down like a feather. So it's the control of that coming down. Reminds me of the control that you need when you're coming down from a jeté. So you need to float that leg down, leave it up, then float it down once you've landed, and usually bring it through to run into the next step. So really think every time you do a grand battement, think obviously pressure through the floor to get your leg off the floor, but think of showing that tendu before you close into fifth position. Yeah, you don't just go yes, or third position if you're at that level. At any level, you want to be able to show that grand battement after your leg comes down before you close. So those are my tips to really help you focus on the elements of the bar that help you with your landings. There are other exercises you can do. Certainly I teach a lot of rises. So here's some rises you can do that will really help build up the strength. I do these a lot. So keep your ankles together so you don't sickle out over your little toes. Keep those ankles glued together, go up as high as you can. Again, not up high this way, but up high so you're creasing, making a crease in your ballet shoes. So go up as high as you can and then slowly resist. Did you hear that crack? Up as high as you can, keeping those ankles together, and then slowly resist on the way down. If you've got knobbly knees like me, you can put a squishy ball or a rolled up pair of socks between your ankles, and that will actually help you keep those together, or that will help you keep your weight over your big toe. That's the important thing. We really don't want to be going out over our little toe and sickling. Yeah. So doing those kind of exercises build up the strength in your calves and your feet. All the exercises that we do with point work preparation, they're also very valuable for leaps and jumps as well. So the landing of those jumps, you're wanting to develop really strong feet, foot muscles and calf muscles, and then the control of the upper legs and upper body as well to help you. And obviously the more control going on down here, your arms can be light and beautifully elegant and feeling fantastic. So the greater control in your upper legs and your core, the more ease you have in your upper body and your face and your expression in your neck, so you can really show how easy it all is. Obviously it's not, but you know, that's the impression that we tend to give in ballet. We want people to think, oh my gosh, that's so easy. So those are my tips today. There are lots more exercises you can do for foot strength. You can do TheraBand exercises, getting a TheraBand and literally just pushing your foot against the resistance of the band. Or even if you don't have a band, I know in contemporary we used to do an exercise where you were sitting like this, your heels lifted, and then you flex that foot and really push that heel forward. But I'm really resisting, I'm using both muscle groups to resist, and then pointing and then flexing and then pulling that back in. And as I pull the heel back in, I'm resisting with the opposing muscle group. So again, you're really building up that strength. This can be done with a TheraBand wrapped around your foot as well. You can go like that, push against the TheraBands. That really helps build up that strength in your legs. Obviously remember to do both legs equally so that you don't end up overbuilding up one side more than the other. So those kind of movements are really, really helpful for building up that strength in your legs, with your feet. The whole resistance thing is so helpful for building up that strength and style of movement, so you get that squeeziness of movement. So that's it for today. So don't forget to land toe, ball, heel, plie. Don't forget to hold your core, and if you're landing on one leg, make sure the other leg stays up and beautifully stretched with the pointed foot on the end. Don't forget to work the resistance in all your exercises at the bar and enjoy. Another tip I've just thought of for landing with a controlled manner is to keep your eye line up as you land. That way your back doesn't collapse as you land as well. It's just another little thing. It's another layer that's going to help your jumps look more fabulous. That's it for this week. If you like this, please do subscribe. Please share with your friends. If you want to dance with me, check out bridgeballet.club. You can try a class straight away. And if you like the class, you can join the club. Or if you want to do a live class, you can then book a live class with me by going to bridgeballet.co.uk. My name's Claire, and I'll see you later. Bye.